Welcome back, Daily Show. Sorry, running out of music. 9:49, little bit of change. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, it wouldn't be Sire for you. What would it be? Cyrus. Good morning, Cyrus. Sire, you know, if you were...
Yeah.
What would it be?
It's like Your Majesty or something.
Oh, okay. Good morning.
I mean, that would be gender neutral, but I'll take it.
Very formal today. How are you doing, Lacy?
I'm doing fine, CJ. How are you?
You know. It's very warm down here.
It is, and it's very cool outside, and so it's kind of like a weird...
Never happens. If it's cold outside, normal, like in the wintertime, it is 4 degrees down here, and I'm begging just to get out of there.
You have to like put earmuffs over your...
I basically do.
Yeah.
I basically do. That's why I wear a lot of turtlenecks in the wintertime.
Smart.
It's not because I want to. It's because...
This is not a fashion choice. This is
just wanted to throw that out there for all
choice.
these people that are talking about me about the turtlenecks. It's not because I have to. It's because I want to. No, it's because I have to.
Right.
That's what I meant. Okay, so you wrote about the third Dolbee sister retiring from Hayner Library after 24 years of service.
Yes. So in the beginning of Hayner's history, there were 3 sisters who served the library as head librarian for a combined total of 48 years. So this was the third sister, Harriet Dolbee, and she retired effective October 1st, 1925. So I wrote a little bit about her, a little bit about her sisters. So her first sister, Blanche Dolbee, led the library from 1875 to 1878, and then she got married. And in that time period, women traditionally did not work outside the home after marriage. And so it made sense for her at that time to retire. Well, not retire, to leave her position there. And then there were a couple of one or two other people that served between 1878 and then 1880 when her sister Florence Dolbee was appointed head librarian. She was the one who ushered the library.
Sounds like some nepotism going on.
Well,
I'm just kidding. I was just kidding.
I would almost say that, except there were people in between. It was like they tried out some other people and they were like, we got to go back to the Dolbees.
Okay.
They're good at this.
I was like, okay, if this was back to back, I don't know. I'm kind of raising my hand here.
Not back to back.
Lacy says, nay, that doesn't happen.
Not in this case. So in 1880, Florence Dolbee was hired as the head librarian. And so she went through the process of like building what is now the Genealogy and Local History Library with the board of directors. The board of directors, which is all women, are the ones who hired the architect Theodore Link and did a lot of that planning. But she, worked closely with them in that. And then also the addition on the library in 1906, 1907. And then she retired in 1912 due to ill health, died very soon after that. So then Harriet she actually began as an unpaid volunteer helping her sister. So I don't want to say nepotism, but she put in the work. She put in the work. She was a volunteer helping out Florence. And then in 1901, she became a paid assistant. And then in 1912, when Florence had to retire, she was appointed head librarian and then worked there until the end of September of 1924.
Wow. I love this.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that it's really cool that you write about this as well, because it is really good local history. And now, was she beloved?
Yes, she was beloved. I think.
Is it beloved or beloved?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know, because it's one of those words where you read it a million times and then you don't say it as much. And then when you say it, you're like, hope that was right.
Well, and then I feel like some countries just put their own twist. Like English speaking countries will put their own accent on a word. Like we say research, and then like in England they'll say research.
That's true. Yes.
I don't know why I brought that up.
No, that's all right. My sister lives in Australia, and she has to pronounce certain words. It's like, because people won't understand her there if she says it with her American accent. And so, we have those moments sometimes on the phone.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, and now, so she was appointed head librarian in it's crazy to think 1880, when you hear that year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and both Florence and Harriet never married.
Okay.
So they, lived with, there were several siblings. One of their sisters was Cora Dolbee Rowland, who I think I've talked about before. She was very big in the music scene in Alton. And
what was music back then?
Oh my gosh, there was so much.
But like, what did you sing?
Oh, well, there was a lot of like religious music, and then we were getting into like jazz and stuff.
Okay, gotcha.
Cora Dolbee, Roland had the dominant ninth singing group. And I think it started with 9 people, but we have some other programs at the library so you can kind of like see what
That's
they
interesting.
sing. And so she's somebody that was portrayed in Vintage Voices a couple years ago, Cora. And then I didn't talk about her here because she didn't work at the library, but she was very involved in civic things at that time. So anyway, there were quite a few siblings, and I think the ones that were unmarried lived either together or with, you know, the families. Like a lot of times that was the case in the past. Like when I looked at her census records, Harriet's census records, she was living with one of her siblings and their family. But yeah, so she was beloved, and the directors of the library, there was a quote that they feel that she's earned the right to rest from her work, but keenly feel the loss it will be to the work of the library and to the board of directors. So they understood that she needed to retire for herself, but they then invited her to be on the board of directors after that. So she went straight from the role as the head librarian to being on the board of directors.
What did head librarian entail back then?
Everything.
So it was it all.
It was like the executive director, but
Okay.
she was like, because it was a much smaller staff. I mean, at Hayner, we have more than 40 people on staff now, some full-time, some part-time. But then it was just a handful of people. Sometimes it was volunteers. And so as head librarian, she was making, decisions for the library along with the board of directors, but also like at the reference desk, buying materials, all that stuff. So she was very much like who the public associated with the library.
That makes so like the face of it. Really.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for sure.
Okay. Now, when Harriet died, they
Yes.
closed the library for a day.
Yes.
Is that possible anymore? Can you guys do that?
Yeah. Well, okay. So she died 2 years later. So a lot of times this happened with in the past. I don't want to say this always happens, but Harriet died right after she retired, 2 years after she retired. Yeah. Florence died a year or so after she retired. So yes, they closed the library for a day in her honor. We have closed the library for the funerals of library employees. So when Janet Schweppe died last year, we were closed for that morning so that all of the staff members could go to the funeral.
My question, could you guys do like a Memorial Day? Like if you guys decided, hey, like this was a really big deal, and all of them are, but like we want to take this day of remembrance. Does the state allow, like I didn't know if because of the new, like if there was a new regulation that said you have to be open regardless, because I think it's beautiful that they closed the library down to honor her. Yeah,
no, I think it was probably a similar situation where it was so that the staff could go honor her at her funeral, because it was the day of her funeral. It wasn't the day of her death. So I think it was what we would do now, like close it so that there's enough time for everybody to pay their respects and then reopen in our case in the afternoon, so that people can still use the library services. But the public, our patrons have been very, very wonderful about that when we have done it. I mean, I think too, a lot of times it's somebody that they have grown close to at the library.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad. I appreciate that we've been able to do that when there have been staff members
that's cool that you're allowed to do it, because I didn't know if the state goes, oh no, we have to keep you open. That's really cool though that you're allowed to do that. Seriously.
I'm sure it requires board approval, but our board is also just
wonderful.
So wonderful. Yes.
It really is. And with that being said too, so do you know of any like additions or contributions that the two sisters made to the three made to the library within their tenure as either head librarian or board member? That's
a good question. So I definitely don't know as much about Blanche, since she was only librarian for 3 years. But I think a huge part of what Florence was doing was this kind of like reimagining of the library, because it had been in rooms in City Hall, and then City Hall kept burning, there were fires, and then
we couldn't get it right for a while.
Well, no one could. It was a time period when a lot of things were burning.
You fought fire with your hands.
Yeah, right.
You got into a fist fight with that.
Yeah, it was a one-on-one battle. So it's not like, City Hall was just really bad at it. Like, it was just the time period. But eventually City Hall burned fully down in 1924, which we've talked about. But they just kept being moved around. And so during not Harriet. During Florence's tenure, and the library, the board of directors, we got the new building. The endowment, that was a huge thing. So John Hayner in 1901 put forth an endowment. And I really want to emphasize this because I think it's really important. His wife, his third wife, Kate, and his daughter, Florence Hayner Haskell, encouraged him to do this. So he did the endowment, and everything I've read says with the encouragement of Kate and Florence, who were both very involved in the library and were both on the board of directors at different times. So the Hayner family, the Hayner Haskell family, made this endowment so that the library was truly free for everybody. So before that, you had to pay a fee to use the library. It was a subscription library, which was very common at the time. But after the endowment, anyone, and that was open to you, no matter sex, race, everybody was welcome in the library. And that was starting in 1901. So that was part of Florence's time there. And then when Harriet started, she was, she was there for 24 years, but she was the director for about 12. So she was there for all of the building and endowment and everything as well. And then I think was just really carrying things forward. There was one thing I saw, speaking of fires, this was in 1921 or 1922, where there was an ad in the paper that from Florence Dolbee, librarian, that said, please, or Harriet Dolbee, librarian, please don't drop things off at the library right now. We're still dealing with the after effects of the fire.
Oh,
so
God.
I like the fire thing. Like I keep seeing fire stuff that I didn't know about. I don't know what burned, and it was clearly not enough to, burn the whole building down, thank goodness. But next week I'm actually going to talk about fire. So we'll talk more about that later. But she was
like the song.
We didn't start the fire. Oh. But that's a good question. I don't have the specifics of. I know it talked about her growing the collection. Yeah. And during that time period, they were doing a lot about children's librarianship and bringing in more books for children. She was at a library conference, so she was doing going out in the community.
So she was, she really was growing this.
Oh yeah. And she would go give book reviews and book talks at different organizations. And then when she retired, Jane Watson Bassett became the head librarian in 1925. And she was the first professionally trained librarian. So she had just graduated from the library school at the St. Louis Public Library.
Did she come in and just, let's go, buy the book?
You know what? She is one of my library heroes.
That's what I was going to ask you, because you get the passion of the sisters and everyone else that's a part of it. It's so cool. Yes. But then you finally have somebody for the first time that's trained that comes in and is probably all right, this is wonderful, but we got to get to business.
No, I think it was more of a continuation of services, really? But part of it was this kind of shift to this is a profession. And she was widowed. She had been married, and her husband died in, I think, 1917. But she is one of the people that's being portrayed in Vintage Voices this year.
Is she really?
Yes. So Jane Watson Bassett, you can go hear more about her. And I saw it on Sunday, and I had tears streaming down my face by the end. Gail Drillinger portrays her, and she does a fabulous job. And she just talks about a bunch of things that she did for the library, and it's stuff that we still benefit from. She took it through the Great Depression and World War II, and just did a lot for the troops during World War II to get them books. And there was one thing, I think this was something that I saw about Harriet Dolbee. It wasn't part of her job as librarian, but she was participating in they were collecting precious metals to melt down for women's suffrage to raise money for women's suffrage. Yeah. So even beyond the library, all of these women were doing things that were benefiting the community, both in Alton and, nationally. Really cool. And internationally for the troops.
You got a moment to stick around? Mm-hmm. We're going to take a quick break, and I'm going to pay a bill. 10:04, a little bit of change. More conversation with Lacy. 100 years ago. Did I say years? I keep putting weeks up there. you know? And I was
you got yours this time.
kind of nervous, but we got through it.
With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
Discover Del Mar Public House, located in Godfrey's historic Clifton Schoolhouse. Enjoy bold flavors like homemade falafel, fish and chips, and rotating pasta favorites. Relax with local beers, half-price wine bottles, and summer poutine nights. The only thing missing is you. Open Wednesday through Sunday. Del Mar Public House, where great food, drinks, and friends come together. DelMarPublicHouse.com.
Do you need to declutter your space? Time to call me, the Queen of Junk. Since 1993, we have grown to be the leader in residential, commercial, and property management junk removal. At Sparks Junk Removal, we are eco-friendly. We recycle, donate, or repurpose items back into our community. Trash is our last resort to the landfill. Plus, with our all-inclusive service, our crews handle everything from labor to lifting and landfill fees. Give us a call or visit our website, sparksjunkremoval.net, to reclaim your space today.
When I got in the car accident at the ER, they gave me a prescription of hydrocodone. And over time, it took more medication to mask the pain. I moved over to drug seeking and found heroin and fentanyl. I went to the Centerstone rehab facility, and it was the best decision I ever made in my life. I have my own car, I have a job. There's nothing holding me back anymore.
When you need a project done right, on budget and on time, trust Gillahan Concrete. Gillahan handles every kind of project, big and small. Commercial, industrial, residential, from room additions and garages to patios, driveways, and more. Gillahan brings quality and experience to every job. Family owned with over 30 years of service to our community. Call today at 618-781-3914 or visit GillahanConcrete.com.
Accidents happen in a heartbeat, but lives change forever. Whether it's a car crash, workplace injury, medical malpractice, or wrongful death, you don't have to face the consequences alone. Keith Short and Associates brings over 33 years of experience and a reputation for fighting fiercely for your rights. For relentless representation that you can trust, call Keith Short and Associates at 618-254-0055 today for a free consultation.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
My guitar too loud. How do you like me now? How do you like me now? Now that I'm on my way, you still think I'm crazy. Standing here today, I couldn't make you love me, but I always dreamed about living in your radio. How do you like me now?
Back, Daily Show. I smelled like something was burning for a second. That's why I took a little pause. I'm like, is there something on fire?
We've been talking about fires.
And you're writing about fire next week.
I'm writing about fire.
What are you writing about?
Next week?
Yes, on the fire.
There was an article about Fire Prevention Week, and it talked about how to punch it. It gave detailed instructions on how to punch the fire. And so it talked about the amount of money lost both in Madison County and statewide, and like,
well, yeah, City Hall got rebuilt. Like,
see, okay, this was I went back and looked up the dates because I was looking at the fiscal year that started in June of 2024, but it burned down in April or May of 2024. So this wasn't even part of it, but I put that in my article when City Hall burned down, literally specifically because my first thought was, well, there was such a big loss because of City Hall, and it wasn't.
Wow.
It wasn't. So I don't know what else.
Well, that's because they had these 7-year-olds smoking cigarettes while they were working in the farm.
Yeah, that didn't help. Didn't help things.
You ever see that picture of that like that infant that's smoking cigarettes and it's like it's in a different country, but it's like they have like 2 cigarettes in their mouth.
No, but I always think about like the pictures of like kids at baseball games when they're all like in the stands smoking cibrights and they're like 8, and you're like, how did you get here?
They got snuff in their nose, like they're just ready to go.
Yeah, I'm like horrific. Huh.
I love it. Okay, so what'd you learn about the gals as you were writing about them?
Oh, I feel
like we're friends with them now, so I just call them the gals.
They're the gals. No, I just love them. I just feel I feel very like grateful, and I always like seeing ways that we're like continuing the service that was done in the past. Like for instance, when Jane Watson Bassett was the librarian, they had a works like the WPA group come in and index the Alton Telegraph up through the 1930s, and so they had all these. It was an index, so it would say like someone's name that had an obituary in the newspaper or important articles that were in the newspaper. So they put all of these on cards. And then in the 1970s, they were all typed up into this huge series of books. I think there are 6. We call them the red books, that are the indexes of the Alton Telegraph from 1836 to 33. So they were all put into these books. And that was a project that the Jenny D. Hayner Library Association, which is sort of like what the board of directors of the 1800s became. Now we have an elected board as well, but the Jenny D. Hayner Library Association paid for these to be turned into these books, typed up, turned into these books. And then about 2 years ago, we started a project to digitize all of them, and we did. It's thousands of pages, and so now you can go in and just do a text search.
That's so cool.
And it goes through every single page. And so that way, if things are in places that you're not expecting, you can still find it. So
wow,
that's a cool project, because it started with Jane Watson Bassett's tenure, and then it continued into the 70s when she had already retired and then died a couple years after that. And then now I get to look at it and I'm like, talk about carrying forward the legacy in like a very, very concrete way. So yeah, I'm like grateful for the things they did, because now we can bring them into the 21st century as well.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Great job.
Thanks.
Hot diggity.
Hot diggity.
Good job.
Thank
All
you.
right, so you're writing about fire next week.
Writing about fire next week.
We will learn about the losses to the county in 1924.
Yes.
Next week.
Yes.
Not present day fire losses.
Yes.
Just,
right. Well, I'm going to mention how many.
Okay.
Like just do a little comparison. Yeah.
Fair.
But it's going to be a little bit general. I might look up like a couple of to see if there were any major fires that would have contributed to that high loss, like just to kind of get an idea. But the article that I was working from is from the state. So it's specific to Madison County, but it doesn't have like specific fires listed or anything like that. But yeah, in the meantime, you should go to Vintage Voices on Saturday or Sunday.
That was a great interview.
Last week. Yeah, with Diana. She's wonderful.
She's great.
So that is noon to 2 on Saturday and Sunday at the Alton Cemetery. You can just buy tickets there. $15 for adults, $10 for students. And then you can learn more about Jane Watson Bassett and a whole bunch of other people.
I was chuckling because noon to 2 rhymes in a way. And I thought
noon to 2.
Maybe you could get like a shirt made that says, I don't know, past lives, noon to 2. I don't know.
Commune with the dead, noon to 2.
I fell in like one of those office moments where I'm like, it kind of just was really dry. And I'm like, there's no camera to look at and give an awkward, I guess there is. Like
I've done that. I definitely have like broken the fourth wall. Yep.
All right. We're going to talk to Alton Symphony Orchestra right after this quick break. And then we're going to come back and talk to Tangled Tinsel, Christmas Tree Farm. Excited about that one, too. You stay there, and I'll be here. Lacy won't be, but she'll be back next week on RiverBender.com and Roku TV.